Next up, we have Mr. Royce Stuckey. He's a graduate from Cal State Hayward, now known as Cal State East Bay. He's a first-year math teacher here at Culver City High School. And his interests include singing, playing the organ and drums at church, and going to amusement parks. His presentation is titled Overcoming Drug Abuse and Bereavement. Please give it up for Mr. Royce Stuckey.
When I was in the second grade, I came home and I think I was either putting my backpack down or maybe trying to get something to eat. And I heard a bunch of police sirens. They seemed like they were heading right towards the house. And at the time, my family lived on this street that sort of had like a T shape, and we were right at that very corner of that T. So I looked out the window and I saw 6 police cars. They had came from 3 different directions, 2 at a time, and they surrounded our house. And my dad answered the door, and they asked for his name, and he said, "Yes, that's me." They said, "We are here for your arrest." So my dad said, "Let me get, my shoes." So they came in the house, and they followed him to the closet. My great-grandmother was there. And so she just helped me off to the side as I watched them put my dad in one of the cars and took him away. That arrest right there led to a 2-year federal prison sentence. And so off and on from 2nd through 4th grade, my mom would take me to Soledad Prison up in Northern California to visit my dad. At the time, I did not know what he had did to land him in jail or prison at the time. So my dad came home when I was in the 4th grade. We were in a different home by then. And things seemed to be okay for a little while, but then things just wasn't adding up. He was going back and forth to jail. And when he was home, sometimes he was always either locked up in the bathroom or locked in the bedroom. He was always needing $20, wanted $20, and many times when I was with him in the car, he would always make me get in the back seat because he didn't want me to see what someone was giving him through the window. So by 5th or 6th grade, I started to question a lot of things. And I guess my dad realized it was time to tell me that he was a cocaine and meth addict. So now it's gone from me questioning all these different things that are not adding up in the house to now I know exactly what's going on. I know what the $20 is for, I know what the car rides are for, I know why he's locked up in the bathroom or in the bedroom. So, life went up and down. Sometimes he was clean and sober and things were nice. Sometimes things were not so nice. I remember in middle school, my mom was responsible for taking me to school, and my dad was the one who was supposed to pick me up. So this was in around 95. And my dad had a 1981 Town Car Lincoln. It had a loud muffler, and you could hear him coming from a mile away. So I'm waiting outside of middle school, and I can always tell when he was high because he would drive right past me 3 or 4 times. And my friends were like, "Isn't that your dad in that blue?" "Yes." Till I finally got to the point where I would walk off and go to my aunt's house and hope him or my mom would figure it out later where I was to save the embarrassment. So in the next picture you see, this is my 8th grade graduation. It's probably one of my only last pictures. Good pictures I have of my dad. And so this was one of our happy moments. He was happy I was graduating, but things were still a little bit rough. I go on to high school with the same mentality, and now I'm at the high school where my mom teaches. We're not telling anyone what's happening at the house. All they know is there's Mrs. Stuckey and there's Royce, and I'm in track, I'm in ASB, I'm in BSU, I'm active, I sing in 3 choirs at church, or I play the drums, and we're just hiding what's really going on at home. So, my dad in the 8th grade went through open heart surgery, and I thought this time that would give him his warning to maybe try to clean up because his health was starting to fail. So being in and out the hospital because he was diabetic and he was developing cancer in his spine wasn't nothing new to us. So one day he was really sick, and we took him to the hospital, which is in there, and it was just regular, robo for us that he was in the hospital. And one morning I woke up at around 4:30 in the morning because I thought I had to use the restroom. And when I woke up, I didn't have to use the restroom anymore, but I heard my mom crying. So I went down the hallway and to her bedroom to see what was going on, and I stood in the doorway, and she hung up the phone, and she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "Royce, Dad is gone." That was the hospital. He passed this morning. I was 15. Hadn't even finished the 2nd semester of my sophomore year of high school. So, I was born and raised in a strong Christian family, and they always told us that when we prayed, what I was taught was that God could give us 3 answers: yes, no, or wait. And as long as my dad was living, whether he was living right or not, or whatever was going on, I always had this hope that he would get sober one day and stay sober, and life would go back to the way I once knew it was, because he was a nurse. I just thought things could get back there. But once he passed away, I said, that hope is gone. What am I supposed to do with this now? And how am I supposed to live with it and move on? Well, I continued the rest of high school, and I said, you know what? I got to do stuff for my life, and I want a life for myself. And so, my senior year, I was ASB president. I was in FBLA club. I was over Link Crew. I was in DSU. I was now in 4 choirs, including a community choir that was traveling. And I was working, getting ready for college. And as you see in the picture here is my picture when I graduated from Cal State Hayward. And I was so excited. And I said, okay, you know what? I have to make sure that I do things for myself. I can't ride on the fact of whatever happened with my dad. So one of the things, or 3 things that I really want to be my conclusion this evening for you all, is that whether you're dealing with something that I dealt with back in high school, or you have other issues or whatever, or clashes that you may have with your parents, one of the things that I'm so grateful that my mom instilled in me and continued to plant in me before and after my dad died. And the first thing is, you need to understand that whatever issues that you may have with your parents, you need to separate their love for you from that issue. That was the first thing I had to learn how to do. I had to not personalize or internalize my dad's addiction, because I needed to realize that that had nothing to do with him loving me. Number 2, I had to learn, or that you need to learn, is that your parents are individuals, and they're not perfect. Neither are you. And when you become older, you're going to make some life decisions that everyone is not going to like yourself. And one of the things that I think that we fail upon a lot of times is we want to make our parents perfect. And when they fall anywhere short of that, we have an issue with them. But we have to understand that our parents have their own lives to live, and that it's not going to be perfect, and it may affect us, but they don't mean to. And last but not least, your parent, what I learned is that I need to take and remain with all the good stuff that my dad did. So not to dwell on the bad things, but dwell on the good things. And the good things was that he taught me how to play the organ. He helped me develop my singing skills. I'm a choir director like he was. And most importantly, the last thing that you need to remember is that no matter what your parents do or say, trust and believe that they do want the best for you. And they want you to go further than they ever have. Including my mom, that even though she didn't have a drug addiction problem, but she was first generation to go to school and college. But she also was a single mother for many years with my brother and sister before me. So remember that your parents want you to do the best that you can. So the 3 things is, first of all, separate their issues for their love for you. Remember that they are individuals that are not perfect. And number 3, always remember that they want the best for you. And the best thing that you could do for yourself is to learn from whatever mistakes that you see your parents make yourself go further, make yourself go greater, make yourself go better. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be your life that you have to account to for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that story, Mr. Stuckey.